The first elder abuser graces the cover of Vogue, the climate cultists want your cat eating fake meat, and the vulgar spit girl is now apparently famous. It's only Wednesday, but it's time for my losers of the week. But first, a word from our sponsor. Have you seen Chuck Norris lately? While he's still kicking butt and staying active well into his 80s, what's even more shocking is he looks more jacked than ever and seems to have more energy than guys half his age. And it's all thanks to Morning Kick, a revolutionary new daily drink from Roundhouse Provisions that combines ultra-potent greens like spirulina and kale with probiotics, prebiotics, collagen, and even ashwagandha. Just mix with water, stir, and enjoy. And unlike other green drinks out there, this one tastes exactly like strawberry lemonade and has hundreds of 5-star reviews. So go to chuckdefense.com/Tommy for up to 44% off your regular priced order. Plus, every purchase is backed by a 90-day money-back guarantee. If you want to experience smoother digestion, a boost of energy, and just an overall healthier body, then go to chuckdefense.com/Tommy today. I'm going to give you my losers of the week in just a moment. But first, given all the news, the I told you so moment for me. Apparently, there's going to be a meeting of Democrat governors with President Joe Biden tonight. Shocker. No one could see this coming. Listen, I know there's a lot of folks out there that are finally coming around to the idea that Joe Biden will not be the nominee. Took you guys long enough, but you're there. But there's a lot of speculation about who the replacement is going to be. And I hear people saying that potentially the Democrats would choose and go with Vice President Kamala Harris because then she could keep the money that's already been raised. Now, I still maintain it's going to be Gavin Newsom, and I'll tell you why for the millionth time next. But first, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the whole notion of a Vice President Kamala Harris assuming the top of the ticket. Folks, I think the only way the Democrats could possibly win with Vice President Kamala Harris at the top of that ticket is if there were enough dumb women out there that wanted to elect the first female president that they would hold their nose and vote for a Kamala Harris. Now, I personally think that Joe and Jill hate Kamala. I personally think that the Obamas hate Kamala. I think Nancy Pelosi hates Kamala. I don't think there are a lot of people in the Democrat Party that actually like Kamala Harris. The Democrats really did themselves a giant disservice when they chose her as the vice president because she's a major flop. It would be much easier on them now if they pick someone better, but they made their bed, now they're going to lie in it. Again, I will reiterate why I do believe it's going to be Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is the only one, Kamala included, that's been sucking up to Joe for the last 7 to 8 months. Gavin Newsom has been a happy little warrior. He's been out there campaigning for Joe, but really running a shadow campaign. He has not only made 2 international trips, he's also proposed a constitutional amendment. Why a governor would do that is beyond me, unless he has bigger aspirations. He's been attempting to spin the narrative on the homelessness plaguing his own state. He did a debate on Fox News hosted by Sean Hannity against Governor Ron DeSantis. Why you as a Democrat would go on Fox News and debate another governor is beyond me, unless you want to make yourself appear more presidential and more ready for a general election. And again, I'll reiterate my point that he has been a happy warrior for Joe Biden. So when Joe Biden is forced to step down, he's going to look to the most loyal person near him, and that is going to be Gavin Newsom, who has positioned himself for this for at least the last 6, 7, 8 months, maybe even longer. That's my position. I've made it known time and time again for the last couple of years, but given there's going to be this meeting tonight, I just thought I'd reiterate it for those who haven't heard my position. Moving on now to some more losers, and my losers of the week. First Lady Jill Biden loves her some Jill Biden, and that's for sure. While her husband was no doubt put down for a nappy nap in his hyperbaric chamber, Jill found time to shimmy into a $5,000 Ralph Lauren dress and pose for the cover of Vogue. Rome is burning, and Jill Biden is basking in the limelight of its flames. I guess we shouldn't be surprised that liberal Vogue rewards elder abuse with a cover. They chose a nice shot, but a more natural pose would have been this one. Jill has thrown her husband to the wolves, but that brings me to my next loser this week. Whoever decided it would be a good idea to bring lab-grown cat food to the market. The so-called environmental experts want you to start feeding your cats lab-grown meat so as to save Mother Earth. I guess it never dawned on these experts that since God placed felines on Mother Earth, they've been eating actual meat, and pretty sure it's not that that's causing the fake climate apocalypse, even by delusional climate cultist estimations. But let's keep in mind, these same climate zealot folks also think you should forego pets in the first place to reduce climate change. I've got a better idea. Perhaps maybe liberals should just stop reproducing. I suppose that thought kind of leads me to loser 3 this week. The Hawk Tuah girl, as she's so affectionately now known. Turns out making a super vulgar statement during a man on the street interview might make your family cringe, might jeopardize your day job if she even has one, and self respect. But on the plus side, you could make millions spitting into a jar for creeps. Folks, we as a society have a horrible habit of making people like this famous, and I guess it's not her fault. It's probably ours. Why do we obsess over the lowest brow and most vulgar acts and people among us? What is wrong with us? We are sick. So I don't blame this girl for milking it. Good for her, I guess. Her parents must be so proud. I just hope she isn't one of the borrowers getting her student loans paid off by the taxpayers thanks to Joe Biden. But those are my losers of the week. We'll be right back with my next guest. Stay tuned. Folks, with all the negativity going on in our country right now, I think it's important to remember that tomorrow is still Independence Day. And regardless of who you voted for or you plan to vote for, I hope you love this country and I hope you'll stand up for it with half as much heart and soul as my next guest. Jimmy Heyward is a middle school student who decided to run for Commissioner of School Spirit and Patriotism at his Catholic school. Now, he wrote a beautiful speech about his love of country, his respect for veterans, and his plan to keep his school and the school environment as patriotic as possible. Take a listen.
I want to be your next Commissioner of Patriotism and School Spirit. I would like to coordinate with Miss Flock events such as meeting Holocaust survivors, 9/11 survivors, Japanese Americans from internment camps, and more. My love for America is my motivation for running for Commissioner of Patriotism and School Spirit. It is an honor to live in this country. Sadly, some people take their citizenship for granted, whether it is disrespecting the people who protect us or eating nachos during the national anthem at a sporting event. If someone doesn't truly know what they are pledging for the United States of America, they might as well be reciting the lyrics to Shake It Off by Taylor Swift.
So what the heck was the problem with that? Well, according to Jimmy and his mother, Hattie Ruggles, Jimmy was told he had to remove all the parts of his speech that pertained to patriotism or he wouldn't be allowed to deliver it at the school assembly. And that is when the ridiculous debacle ensued. It's an ongoing story, but join me now with their side of that very disturbing story are Jimmy Heyward and his proud mom, Hattie Ruggles. Thank you guys so much for being with me, especially the day before Independence Day. I want to just jump right in and ask you what I think a lot of people think really happened here. I think it was the red hat. I think it's the red hat and the Trump derangement syndrome that really made this an issue, because listening to that speech, even if you hate America, I don't think you could say there's anything wrong with that beautiful speech. But I want to get your take on it. Do you think the red hat had a lot to do with this?
Yeah, I think it for sure triggered her. The slogan, make SBS great again, we're using Trump's Make America Great Again, and that for sure bothered her.
I'm sure it did. And I want to ask to your mom about kind of how this all ensued, because this isn't just a simple, oh, he can't give the speech. There was a lot of back and forth that went on here, and there's been some back and forth since then. He said, she said, the school, in my opinion, trying to cover themselves or try to make light of what really happened. So you got to give me the story here. How were you notified of this, and what really went down from your perspective?
Well, he let us know on Google Docs that she highlighted the whole section that said changes needed to be made. And in that section, there were some things that he needed to switch around and change the way he worded it, which he did. And at the end, he finished it and he's like, Mom, do you guys like it? We thought, hey, yeah, it looks great. Anyone would love this speech. We were proud of him. He printed it, put it in his folder, had us sign the back of it, and went to school. And in the morning, she asked to see it. And he said, okay, here you go. And she said, you didn't take out all of the parts on the bottom. And he said, no, I'm not going to take out the stuff about the patriotism. I'm running for that. And I think it's important and it needs to stay. And she wasn't happy about that. And so from there, it went everywhere, every which way it's gone. There's been things that the school has said, saying, oh, he didn't turn it in on time, or he submitted the wrong speech that everyone's seeing online. That's not what we saw online, but we have video of the principal, Mary Flock, reading it, and it can see our signatures on the back of the speech. So that didn't work. So then they kind of just said, well, anything else they could. And now they kicked him all out of the school, and his sisters, and still haven't talked to us.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why at this point you'd even want to attend this school, Jimmy, or to have your kids attend this school. I certainly wouldn't want to attend school there. I wouldn't want any of my family members attending school. I think what really went down is that this went viral. I mean, it went massively viral. A lot of people obviously agreeing with you and agreeing with your mom in that position. And I think it embarrassed the school so much that they were flailing for some kind of an excuse. But Jimmy, I have to ask you this. The other kids that were running for this commissioner of patriotism, school spirit, what were their speeches like? Because if yours about patriotism was somehow wrong, you couldn't talk about patriotism, what the heck were the other kids going to talk about?
So the other kid, I only ran against one other kid, and he did as you said. He removed the title with patriotism in it, and he only focused on the school spirit subject, which is obviously what I was not going to do, because I know that patriotism is more important than pep rallies at schools.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you've got a great head on your shoulders, which is a testament to your family and to your upbringing. And it's so, I think, for me, inspirational to see people out there, regardless of where you lie on the political spectrum, just loving their country. I feel like a lot of kids nowadays aren't taught to love their country, and maybe the activist school teachers have something to do with this. But Jimmy, when you were confronted with all of this, I mean, you're a young kid, and to have your teacher tell you that somehow you did something wrong, that can't be an easy confrontation to have with a teacher or a school administrator. Why was it so important for you to push back and not just lay down and take this?
Because I've always been taught to never give up and to always stand up for myself and others. And I know that what I was doing was right. It wasn't like one of those opinion things. I know that loving America is the right thing to do. And I was just so mind blown by what she was telling me to do. So I knew it was a red flag, and I was just going to keep pushing because I'm a patriot.
Has she ever acted like this in the past? And that's also a question to your mom in this school. Did you ever have any indications that maybe this school was in some way trying to hamper free speech or targeting your son? Maybe he's made some other comments in the past about his love of country. Is there any indication you had before this whole debacle that maybe this school was leaning this way?
The only idea that we had is for Halloween, Jimmy dressed up as Ronald Reagan. And at school, they had no problem with it. They even put him on the local news and other kids during their trunk or treat. So there was no problem. Read Around America came, Jimmy dressed as Donald Trump, and he brought his Donald Trump book in. And the following day, we received a school-wide email saying that we're no longer allowed to dress in anything that represents our political party. So that was kind of the only red flag. Personally, we've never had an issue with Mary Flock. And there's other issues that other people have had in the school. And we found out about it after ours. They decided to speak up and tell us about it. But us personally, we didn't have an issue besides the email saying that he couldn't dress up as Donald Trump anymore, basically.
I think that's so interesting that you're not allowed to talk about your political party at school as if that's not protected free speech. Pretty sure we're all able to talk about our feelings and our opinions. And I'm pretty sure if he would have dressed up like Joe Biden in the nursing home, it probably would have been fine. Who knows? Maybe not. But I think a lot of parents listening to this are really confused because this is a Catholic school. This is a private school. A lot of parents think if they send their kids to a private school or to a religious school that they don't have to deal with this. So please help them understand how this could possibly be the case at a school like that.
I think it just a case of a bad apple in a school. Besides that, we've had great experiences at St. Bonaventure. Other teachers have been very supportive and wonderful. And I'm not sure how this happened because of one person. Maybe there's more people that back her in the school that I don't know about, but we've gotten a lot of positive replies from people within the school.
That's good to hear. I'm happy about that. I think more parents need to band together, and maybe some of this won't happen with such frequency around the country. Jimmy, your classmates, they've obviously seen you because you've been all over. Your clip went viral of you reciting the speech that you weren't able to give. You've been on several news programs across Fox News and elsewhere talking about what happened to you and also about your love of country. What has the response been from your classmates?
All of my classmates, the grades vary. They all love it. When I was in school, they would chant in the hallways, "Justice for Jimmy," and stuff like that. But I've only had like a few students that like say, "Oh, our families don't like what he's doing," and then you look at it and they don't have really any good reason for not supporting what we're doing. But the community has been so great, and we've had so much back.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that there are a lot of people that stand beside you and that want you to deliver your message. And, you obviously have a bright future ahead of you. You write well, you speak well, you're a put together young man, you stand up for yourself. I mean, all the boxes you check of what we want the future of this country to be. So when this whole debacle is over for you, do you have any aspirations to run for political office, maybe be in some sort of media? What do you want to do with this fame that you've garnered now? How do you hope to use that in the future?
I would love like maybe a Patriot segment on Fox. I don't know, but I would want to be the president one day. That'd be awesome.
Well, we love to hear that because listen, we need some young blood that's ready to fight for their country. I know you said a lot of your classmates, Jimmy, are supportive of you. They're supportive of your right to speak. Hopefully they also love their country. But when you're at, middle school, this is kind of an age where kids are starting to pay more attention to the media. They're starting to see things on Instagram and TikTok and maybe even Twitter, and they're hearing about this upcoming election. Do you feel like the kids that you're around, the kids that are your friends that you play with, do you feel like they've made up their political mind? Do you think that they're talking about politics, who they would vote for if they were able to vote in November?
I'd say only like a few of my close friends. The rest are all like, "Oh, politics, like we can't even vote. It doesn't even matter," and stuff like that. But I have like a group of 3 or 4 friends where we like know what we stand with, and we know who we would vote for. And that's Donald Trump.
Well, I love to hear you say that. Have you had any conversations with former President Trump? Has he reached out to you at all?
I haven't. The last time I sent a letter to him was when I was probably like 2016, and my language probably wasn't as well as it is now. So maybe I'll have to send one out to him.
I think you should, because I think that Donald Trump would love to have you at his campaign rallies. I think he would love to see you and see somebody that's so strong. I mean, you're a lot like Donald Trump. You say what you need to say and you don't make apologies for it. So I hope that Donald Trump will give you a call one of these days. I have a feeling that that's probably coming. But last question for your mom, because obviously your mom's a big reason of why you are the way that you are, why you are so steadfast and you don't care what people think. So to other parents out there that are trying to navigate the school system and other parents and the school, and they're conservative or maybe they're patriotic and they're afraid of what other parents are going to think of them. What's your message to those parents out there?
Don't care what anyone thinks. And that's the way I've lived my life. And I've lost friends with it because I'm a very strong person. I'm outspoken. If something's wrong or I don't agree with it, I don't just take it. I stand up and I say something. And that's how I have been with my children and raising them. There's times when I posted things on social media and used it to our advantage because there's a good part to social media. None of our kids are allowed on social media. We have a 17-year-old still not on social media. But for parents, it's a place that you can speak out and have your voice heard. And there's a lot of parents that don't want to speak out. They're scared. And so they don't say anything. And there's no way I'm going to let that happen to my kids. I'll always stand up, always say something. If they're in the right, if they're in the wrong, I'll call them out before anyone else will. And so I think just being strong and advocating for your kids and doing what's right, and especially in a situation like this, not just saying, okay, we're going to let it go and we're going to forget about it, and you kicked us out of the school and okay, bye. That's not going to happen.
Right. Well, listen, if there were more kids like Jimmy and more parents like you out there, then this thing that's happening in schools right now, the quashing of free speech, patriotism, and even maybe some conservative politics, maybe that would go away. All this nonsense, this hampering of your ability to speak and support who you want to support and have the beliefs you want to have. If all the parents out there were like you and all the kids out there were as strong as your son, I don't think we'd have this problem. So you're great role models, both of you, for America. And Jimmy, we're going to work on getting this message out to Donald Trump, because I think he'd love to have you by his side one of these days at one of his campaign rallies. I think that you would be a great addition to that team. Thank you both so much. A very happy Independence Day, and keep doing what you're doing, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
Independence to you as well.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. All right, folks, that does it for this episode of Tomi Lahren is Fearless. A very happy Independence Day to all of you. God bless America. God bless our troops. From Nashville, God bless you, and take care. What's up, guys? Thank you for watching Tomi Lahren is Fearless. If you want more of my hottest takes, must-see conversations, and of course, my final thoughts, click here and make sure you subscribe here so you'll never miss a beat. I'll be here every weekday, and I hope you'll join me.